Eddie holds the category of conveyancing in the group and works for Newcastle Conveyancing Legal in Hamilton. He's been in business for 4 years and credits his success to ensuring that everybody who comes in contact with him feels better. Eddie's married to Angela and they have a 4-year-old son, Augustus. They live in Maryland. Some of Eddie's hobbies and interests include running and fitness, watching all sports, kayaking, growing his appreciation for music, AFL, and in particular the Geelong Cats, Swannies, Greek philosophers and mythology, ancient history, space discoveries and astronomy, and economics. Some of his previous jobs include real estate sales, trust accounts, property tax depreciation, supermarket manager, liquor department manager of 5 stores, bartender and farmhand. And provide for his family as a way of saying thank you for all their support. So now I'll hand over to you, Eddie, but if you could let us know something that nobody knows about you, please.
I will kick off something that nobody knows about you by letting you know something that you all know about me. I love the water. I love being outside. I love my family. I love being active. But what we've got around us here in Newcastle and Lake Macquarie is fantastic. And Ross, if I can throw to you, because I know that you're a big avid fan of especially in the warmer months, but what is so special and so magic to you about Lake Macquarie?
There's no such thing as a bad day on the water. Every day has its own mood, can I put it that way? The weather, it's every day is different. And when you get out there, you might as well be on the moon.
Thank you very much. I also love Aussie rules. I love footy. I bleed blue and white for the mighty premiers, the Geelong Cats. I must admit, the only team I hate are the Sydney Swans. I see Sydney Swans fairly regularly. They're always in the finals. They've come off the biggest ever AFL winning margin and they're playing my team this weekend, so I'm in for a rude shock. But this is a place that I love going to. I love watching the cricket here. I love watching the footy here, but it's a place that I'm disconnected to because I'm not a Swan supporter. So Scott, you live and breathe the Sydney Swans. Why is the SCG such a fortress? Why is it that every other team is so scared to play there? And what do you love about it?
What I love about the SCG?
Yeah.
The first time I went for the SCG was when I was 15. And I used to be a sprinter. And I was running for New South Wales in the 6 state championships. And I'll never forget when I went onto the ground and looked around, and there was this quite a presence, an aura about it. And I remember I was in the relay, 4x100 metre relay, we came third, and we got a that's the other thing I remember. But the SCG, I've been a Sydney Swans member for 7 years now, and every time we go up to Queensland, I've been lucky enough to go out during the cricket season in the middle of the ground, and it does have this presence about it.
It does.
It's hard to describe. Although if anyone's been to Uluru, it's similar to that. There's something spiritual about the place.
And that's just for sports. And then we think of all the memories there was, like that time when Nick Dacos kicked that goal and beat Geelong and kicked us out of the finals. Like that time that Buddy Franklin kicked 1,000 goals against Geelong. It's got such a feeling and such a presence to it. The thing I love doing is running. Sometimes I get dragged into running races. And if I was to choose between running a marathon and pounding the pavement for 44 Ks and just, yay, they closed the Sydney Harbour Bridge so I can run across it, big deal. Or if I get the choice to run on a trail through the Blue Mountains or a national park, I'm always choosing a trail. Now, Craig, fitness is such an important part of your life. What is it for you about the running and about being on the trail rather than on the pavement?
It's just the therapy that you get out of it. You're just in the middle of nowhere, you're placed on a pair of joggers and you're off and enjoying that sort of scenery and it's wonderful.
Thanks. And I second that. Like any chance I get, I've got my hands dirty, I'm out in the bush, I'm in the middle of the nowhere, I'm with no one but myself and my thoughts. These 3 reasons, along with many others, are why I want to acknowledge the land of the traditional owners, the Indigenous people, specifically here, the Awabakal country. It is their land, their water, and they have a feeling towards their land the same that we do towards the SCG. And I want to pass on the welcome to any Indigenous or Torres Strait Islanders that are here present today. Thank you very much. But now on to me and on to Newcastle Legal and Conveyancing. I am just a wheel in the whole machine, and I am not, sorry mate, and I am not, it is not my role as a conveyancer to tell a purchaser, you should or should not buy this house. That is not my position. I am also not the sales agent. I'm not the person that's going to get the money for you. I'm not the one that's going to protect you when you own it as an investment. And I'm not the one that's going to crawl into every nook and cranny and tell you all the ugly parts of it. I am the only one that does not inspect the property. It is not my position to tell a buyer, do not buy this property. I can give them advice, I can tell them what's common, I can tell them what's uncommon, but it is not my position to tell someone you should or should not buy this home. This is a Hunter water plan, and it's supposed to show a road running around here, and this is a property I'm looking to buy. This red line here is the Hunter water assets. So I'm no scientist, but when you push the flush button on the toilet, the poo just disappears. Fact. This house is not connected to this house is not connected to the sewer line. So when I was representing a purchaser that was looking at buying it, we were told by the owner's solicitor, that's okay, there is a pipe that runs through there because the toilet flushes. That's great, but just say, for example, I own this house here, Scotty Pfeiffer owns this house here, and for example, Geelong's winning by 50 points and it's 3/4 time in a grand final, he can go out into his backyard, dig a hole, and cut off my sewer access, and there's nothing I can do about it. So these are things that I discover in a contract, and these are things that I need to give advice on. Is this property unsaleable? Absolutely not. All we need to do is have a negotiation with the purchaser, the owner, and the neighbour next door. These are the discussions that need to be open, transparent, and accommodating between all parties. When I am doing a contract advice, I've always got to look out for the key details. This was only a small contract, this was 75 pages long, but they were looking at buying an apartment in Merewether where they could eventually use it as Airbnb. Buried within the 74 pages are the words that the owner must notify the of a change of use for short-term or holiday letting. Now, I've been told by a strata manager, you'll never get this in writing from them, but that the strata regulations cannot prohibit somebody from doing something. They cannot prohibit you from owning a pet, but you have a process to follow and they have the rules there to rein things in. The strata bylaws would not stop you from owning a pet, but if you were living in a one-bedroom studio apartment and you had 54 cats, the strata managers are probably going to step in and say, let's wind this back a little bit. This is very different because this is short-term holiday rental. It's not the behaviour of a cat all the time. Neighbours are going to be scared. So if somebody is looking at buying an investment property and they're looking at purchasing it for Airbnb, 13 words in the middle of a 74-page contract could deem whether this entire sale or entire purchase is worthwhile or not. So this is the attention to detail that I need to give. Again, it is not my position to tell that purchaser, yes, you can or cannot buy it. There are discussions that can be had to try to get a resolution. Condition of the property on settlement. I'm sure that the 42 agents in the room here are going to say that the highlight of their career is always doing the final inspection. Regardless of how good the relationship is, the final inspection is always the place where the wheels can fall off the wagon. This was a property that I helped a client purchase in Wallsend at the end of last year. Now, quoting my client, there were more items at the property at the final inspection after the owner had moved out of the property than there was when they did the inspection. To the point where the owner had gone and bought new appliances in the kitchen and they were still in the box. There was a new kettle, new toaster, new microwave that the owner, when they decided to move, grabbed a couple of shopping bags and walked out. This was the condition the property was left in. Now, there's three things that you can do when you're faced with, this is a property I'm moving into on a Friday afternoon. 1, not settle. 2, hold money back in trust. Or 3, allow the owner just to give them money to rectify the problem, whatever that problem may be. Now, the main thing, I guess, and if there's a give everyone that's involved in every single facet of the real estate industry, whether it be the sales agent, a buyer's agent, a mortgage broker, the pest and building inspector, let's stay in our lanes. I'm an expert in conveyancing. I'm not an expert in negotiations. I used to be a real estate agent. If I was an expert in negotiations, I'd still be a real estate agent. I only listed 2 properties a month and sold 4. Apparently it's not enough to survive. There is no harm in everybody saying, well, let's work on a resolution here, or let's agree to something at the exchange of contract. But if it is not written into the it's not those 13 words buried in the middle of the contract, it is not an agreement. Another example I had was a purchaser showed inspection. The automatic gate was not working and the automatic garage door was not working. And the agent said the owner was going to fix this before settlement. Agent said the owner was going to fix this before settlement. I said, no worries at all, let me call the real estate agent. I've called the real estate agent. The receptionist has said, can you call this accounting firm? Okay. So I call the accounting firm and I say, so there's some maintenance work that needs to be done to the property. It was supposed to be done before settlement. Can you please call this different solicitor based in Sydney? I'm like, okay, sure. So there's some maintenance work that needs to be done at this property. They've gone, that agent's gone into receivership. We've been appointed receiver. They were digging into the trust account before they needed to. Day of settlement, my client didn't have a working garage door and didn't have a working gate. Real estate agent was probably going to go to jail. What was the bigger problem there? So my client was fortunate enough that they saw the big picture and they said, let's just roll on past it, not worry about it, let's just settle. But if way back at the beginning of the negotiations, they had have said, this is going to be repaired, that's going to be done, it's not just written down or agreed or a handshake, but it's put in writing, then there would have been protections for that purchaser throughout the whole process. So I guess, again, I want to come back to the point that the most important thing for us all to do is stay in our lanes. We're all here to help one another out, but we're not looking for people to become an expert in conveyancing to then become a great sales agent. If you are a great sales agent, you'll be a great sales agent. If you're a great mortgage broker, you know things that I don't know and never will. So if we can all save our clients from having to deal with things like this, then this is going to make all of our lives a lot easier. Thanks very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Eddie. And everyone, if you haven't had a meeting with Eddie yet,